on the campus for spring practice. Chris, give us the feeling there in Alabama about as they get ready for going through all this spring practice drills.
Well, David, you're right. It's Football 365 down here. They're about to have the first spring practice after spring break. So Nick Saban is curious to see which guys down here took his advice, mixed some running in with the revelry on their week off. That'll be interesting. We expect the trademark Alabama intensity, and the players told me they're determined this coming season to avoid the mistakes they made in 2010 when they came off a championship, preseason #1, but they stumbled to 3 losses, in part because the players say guys shifted their focus suddenly away from team goals to individual goals and lost that little edge and hunger. So Saban, less than 48 hours after his team shut out LSU for the championship, delivered a very strong message.
The first thing I ask this team is, how hungry are you? Are you going to be complacent? Are you going to be satisfied? Are we going to be one of those teams that are going to create an identity based on what this team does? Because the first thing I told them was, when I talked to this year's team, this is not the national championship team. That was last year's team. Some of you guys participated on that team, but that's not going to be the identity that this team gets remembered by. So it's all a matter of hungry. And so far, this has been a pretty good group.
Besides the motivation and hunger of your own players, you wear a bigger target after you win a championship. Alabama always wears a target, but you'll take everybody's best cut just as you did in 2010. How does that impact the preparation for the year?
Well, I think the players have to understand that. I think they have to understand that everybody will play their best game. That Michigan's talking about beating Alabama. You know, when I was at Ohio State, all they talked about was beating Michigan. And I'm sure Michigan talked about beating Ohio State. But our players need to understand Michigan's talking about beating Alabama in the first game. So you better be ready for it, because you're going to get everybody's best shot.
Lots of buzz already about that opening game in Arlington on the first Saturday of the season, Michigan and Alabama. And there'll be some new faces for the Crimson Tide. The nucleus on defense has to be replaced. There's plenty of talent, but they're looking for leadership. And, of course, lots of new faces on offense. No more Trent Richardson and company, David.
Yeah, they lost a lot of guys, Chris. We'll see how they bounce back. Tremendous year last year. But as you mentioned, Nick Saban already spinning it forward and getting ready for the 2012 season. Chris Fowler from the Alabama campus today.